Are Democrats finally becoming the real racists? Let's get into it. Elisa Slotkin, she made some comments, and she said, like, she's glad Ronald Reagan was in office instead of Donald Trump because Trump would have lost the Cold War, which is probably not inaccurate to say. He probably would have bungled it, but a lot of people are taking it the wrong way. A lot of people are thinking she's praising Ronald Reagan. I don't know if I'd go that far, but there's plenty of other legitimate criticisms of Elisa Slotkin, but we'll get into that. Let's watch this guy's video here.
The Democrats' plan to resist Donald Trump is endorsing the Cold War, embracing never-ending war, and praising Ronald Reagan. The Democrats chose Elisa Slotkin, a former CIA agent, a hardcore Zionist, and someone who was endorsed by Liz Cheney to give the response to Donald Trump last night.
He believes in cozying up to dictators like Vladimir Putin and kicking our friends like the Canadians in the teeth. He sees American leadership as merely a series of real estate transactions. As a Cold War kid, I'm thankful it was Reagan and not Trump in office in the 1980s. Trump would have lost us the Cold War. And I would rather have American leadership over Chinese or Russian leadership any day of the week.
The fuck? A Cold War kid? Who is this for? I told you guys that Democrats are just Republicans with daddy issues, man. Do Democrats understand that most Reagan voters are dead now?
Yeah, do we need to get into Ronald Reagan? A lot of right-wing guys hate Reagan too. There's only like, there's like a certain subset of like older Republican voters that still respect the guy, that still remember him fondly because the economy was better in the 80s, at least in some regards. But they were, just like Reagan, he's known these days, he made the AIDS crisis worse. A lot of right-wingers hate him because of his amnesty. Really, there's a lot of bipartisan hatred for Ronald Reagan. A lot of his policies fucked over Americans. He was a real piece of shit. Trying to appeal to Ronald Reagan, probably not the best move. Is that what she intended to do? Was she like endorsing all of his moves? I don't think that's what she was doing, but some people took it that way. Are they overreacting a little bit? But let's go to Twitter. Matt Binder had this to say. He, I believe, is on the Majority Report with Sam Cedar. As a Cold War kid, I'm happy Ronald Reagan was in office. Elisa Slotkin, the official Democrat response to Trump. Oh, hell yeah, baby, that's the winning message. My God, we are cooked. You got a little pushback here. Jennifer says, Matt, you need to fucking settle down. She's glad it was Reagan, not the Trump in charge at the time, basically imploring soft Republicans and independents to scrap this guy. We can't win placating to the far left. Trump and Reagan are the same. They would have handled the Cold War the same. So, yeah, maybe Matt has a good point there. He did ratio her, so that means he's correct. But, some people, understandably, not super psyched about Democrats praising Reagan or speaking of him in anything but, negative terms. But this is from Pedantic Prole. We got here. For those who believe in the deep state, Slotkin is as deep as it gets. Slotkin was recruited by the CIA from grad school in Columbia in 2003, just in time to help plot the invasion and occupation of Iraq, where she did 3 tours of duty as a CIA officer. Bush later assigned her to the Iraq desk as National Security Council, despite the blunders, another Bush-era holdover, Christ almighty. Despite the blunders, illegalities, and atrocities committed by the Bush administration and the CIA during the Iraq War, Obama kept her on board in roles of escalating authority at the State Department and Pentagon, where she eventually ascended to the position of Acting Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs in 2015. Slotkin left the Obama administration in 2017 and immediately capitalized on her former career at the CIA and Defense Department by forming her own security firm, Pinpoint Consultants. We got CIA spooks, maybe not the best representation. People are kind of pissed off about that. Republicans, Democrats are some human sexual deviants who will drink your child's blood and make them sleep in a kitty litter box. We will burn down this country's economy if it means making any of them feel bad. Democrats, oh yeah? Well, we missed the guy who made AIDS worse. So, yep. I kind of... So Democrat representation is so... The Democrats, man, we talked about a lot of this. There's a lot of big-time YouTubers talking about this kind of shit, so I don't know what I can really add to it, but, if I was a left-wing voter and you presented me with this kind of shit, I'm sorry. I totally understand people that vote third party. I'm sorry. I just do. It's disgusting. I know a lot of left-wing guys voted third party. It's understandable at this stage. It's just like, what are you getting out of Democrats? It's just really pathetic. But this caused some controversy as well, more evidence of maybe Democrats shifting to the left. A big Democrat guy who's probably going to be running in 2028, Gavin Newsom, current governor of California. I believe his term is over in 2026, but a lot of people are saying he's possibly, if not Kamala Harris, imagine them running Kamala Harris again. I think that's what they were polling at. She was at like 40% of like voters preferred Kamala again. They're going to run that back. But I think even after the 2016 election, people still wanted Hillary Clinton in there. So I take this with a grain of salt. We're still years out. You know, things could change dramatically. But, you know, Gavin Newsom, his stock was pretty high, but things in California have not been going that well. The California wildfires, a lot of people felt he botched that response. And now he has some statements on trans athletes that leftists are pretty pissed off about. Hey guys, Hermdo from the future here. I uploaded this to YouTube and it said it was blocked worldwide because this segment of the podcast was copyrighted somehow. I don't know what the deal with that was, but I trimmed it out. I'll have some commentary after this, but I did find this article. I'll just go through it real quick. California Governor Gavin Newsom has broken with many elected Democrats by saying he thinks it's deeply unfair to allow transgender women and girls to compete in female sports. Newsom, a potential 2028 presidential contender who leads one of the most liberal states in the U.S., has long been a trailblazer on LGBT rights. He made the comments on this new podcast. One thing I want to say, with Trump in the White House, with chaos unfolding left and right, Gavin Newsom bravely did the one thing that only he could do, that only men concerned about the future could do. He started a podcast because that's what we need right now. Another fucking podcast. But anyways, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. Newsom told conservative figure Charlie Kirk it's an issue of fairness. It's deeply unfair. We've got to own that. We've got to acknowledge it. Newsom's change of tone comes amid the debate with his party over the extent to which cultural factors played a role in a resounding defeat in November. When Republicans won the White House and both chambers of Congress, a number of Democrats quickly denounced the governor's comments. We welcome profoundly sickened and frustrated by these remarks. A statement from California's LGBT Legislative Caucus read, on the debut episode of the governor's podcast, this is Gavin Newsom. Oh, what a pretentious douchebag. His first guest, pro-Trump activist whose Turning Point USA organization advocates for conservative ideas on liberal-leaning college campuses. Yeah, but just this whole thing going down to college campuses debating these students is so fucking annoying. But that's what Charlie Kirk does. Okay, just thought I'd offer my thoughts on that. It's fucking annoying, but there you go. I'll have more commentary after this. So please enjoy the rest of the video.
So can we?
That was something goofy there, but more on like the trans athlete thing. That's a big sticking point for a lot of people. There's a lot of right-wing grifter types that have made careers talking about that kind of stuff. Like Riley Gaines is one of them. It's a big sticking point. It's one of the things right-wingers always go to when discussing transgender issues or like their opposition to transgenderism. They don't think it's fair that trans women are competing with biological women in these sports. It's just one of those things. Some people say it's not a big deal. Some people have proposed like even starting like a league of like just transgender athletes, but there is a question of fairness. I remember years ago, Fallon Fox, a transgender woman who was an MMA fighter, there was controversy around her. This is back in like 2013, 2014 maybe. And she was going around beating the living shit out of biological women. And it was a real issue with people. But I'm surprised to hear this from Gavin Newsom. This guy's been a big LGBT backer for a very long time. And these kind of things, I wasn't expecting him to really break with the party on this kind of stuff, because I know transgender issues are a very hot button thing. A lot of leftists are they feel extremely strongly about this. And, you know, I think they feel like the party is kind of moving away from transgender rights. And a lot of leftists are not willing to compromise on that. And I'm not saying they should. I understand. Look, I mean, they're a vulnerable population. They deserve the same rights as everybody else. They deserve access to healthcare and everything else. You know, I don't see what the big deal is, but I can just speak for myself. I don't know. And I'll admit right now, I'm not the most educated on transgender issues, but this kind of stuff is worrying, especially if you're like a trans advocate. You know, you don't want the party that you're voting for kind of just hand waving this kind of stuff away when it comes to transgender, like rights and visibility and whatnot. But let's hear what he has to say about pronouns and Latinx. I admit Latinx was a little bit goofy. I've never heard anybody say the word. I work with Mexican people at my job, and I think if I called them Latinx, they'd probably want to fight me.
Finally put that to bed.
Yeah,
we agree.
but where did that even
No
go?
more Latinx,
like,
everybody.
Well, I just didn't even know where it came from. I'm like, what are people talking about? Was it the pronouns? By the way, once you'd think California invented the frame of the pronoun. Not, I mean, literally, I had one meeting where people started going around the table of pronouns. One. There's been a hell of a lot of days between 2020 and today, and one meeting. So it's not like this is, I'm like, what the hell why is this the biggest issue?
Charlie Kirk also took
all right. Well, the pronouns thing, you know what? It's just, I'm one of those guys. If you want to use pronouns, fine. If you don't want to use them, fine. I'm not freaking out about it. That's not a hill I'm willing to die on. You know, I know people are sensitive about it as well. I think it's a dumb thing to be concerned about. I don't know why people get upset if someone wants to list their pronouns, but I'll admit, like 5 years ago, that was a real hot button issue, and you heard about it a lot. You heard a lot about people like being compelled to use pronouns at their works. That some of that might have been fear-mongering bullshit, but you heard about it a lot more. But some of the guys I talked to, or some people that I've seen like talking about it online, they basically say like, yeah, pronouns were a big thing a few years ago, but now nobody brings them up. Nobody identifies by them. So I think maybe this pronoun thing is kind of petering off. And I think that's what people are worried about, because they figure if like one aspect of like transgender identity kind of stops being like, you know, talked about or championed, maybe the rest, it's kind of a slippery slope kind of thing. Just they can kind of see like certain aspects of like transgender rights just kind of being stripped away, and that's concerning. That's concerning. I'll admit. But yeah, one more thing. Democrat organization slams party over far left influence, charts new way forward. Third way initiative. So this is a group of, I guess, centrist, like liberal centrists, who think the Democrats are going too far left. And let's do the Hill talk about this.
Democrats have been taking flack recently, even from within their own party.
Yesterday, Democrats joined House Republicans, or at least 10 Democrats did, in voting to censure Congressman Al.
See, the thing about that, I'll just say this. There's some stuff that it's seen as far left, like far left, extreme, out there, communist shit. But I'm worried that issues like transgenderism and climate change and like immigration and whatnot, like I wouldn't call myself much of a leftist, but some of this stuff does concern me because, let's face it, I have empathy, people. I'm not all bad. But some of these issues are associated with the far left. Like if you care about immigrants in any way, you're a communist. If you care about trans people in any way, you're a communist. If you care about the climate in any way, you're a communist. And, you know, seeing all these examples of the Democrats shifting rightward, and you kind of get this, it seems like these issues, they don't think, you know, they're worth talking about or they're worth focusing on. And that concerns me. If I was a leftist, I'd be very concerned about this. It's definitely something, you know, that would annoy me, especially if I, you know, was trying to convince people that the Democrat Party is worth voting for. But it does bother people. I can understand that. I can understand where you guys are coming from with that kind of stuff, you know. But let's watch a little bit more of this.
Green had disrupted Trump's joint address to Congress by standing up and yelling that the president did not have a mandate.
A center-left group called Third Way had a gathering in February. They discussed the issues they had with the far left wing of their party. As a result, they produced 5 pages of takeaways.
Now, not every attendee signed off.
I'll say this. I think if the Democrats, I mean, there's a lot of right-wing fear-mongering and hyperbole about like how the far left controls the country and America is actually a socialist country. If that were the case, Bernie would have been a 2-term president. Give me a fucking break. Maybe we'd actually have universal health care. Is that stuff feasible to enact? Not to sound like a Republican, but hey, you know, maybe people get a fairer wage. I don't know. You know, a lot of people say, like the guy said in the video, we were talking about Lisa Slotkin, you know, Democrats are just Republicans with daddy issues. But, you know, how effective can this party really be? that's a question we got to ask ourselves as we enter into this new Trump term. But let's get into this a little bit more.
On all the points, and that's important to emphasize. But still, some of the takeaways include the following. Embrace patriotism, community, and traditional American imagery, e.g. farms, main streets. Ban far-left candidate questionnaires and refuse to participate in forums that create ideological purity tests. Avoid leading with cultural issues. Focus on jobs, wages, and cost of living concerns.
Does that stuff seem, look, if you're a leftist in my mentions or you're a leftist watching my video, well, first of all, thank you for watching. Second of all, does this stuff seem reasonable to you? I know a lot of people kind of bristle at the thought of like patriotism and like tradition. But it does seem on the outset, these guys want to be more like, they want to bring back like that Clinton era, like liberalism from the 90s, like that post-Cold War, pre-9/11, where, yeah, things are bad, but material conditions are good enough. A lot of people have fond memories. A lot of people my age, I have fond memories of the 90s. We'd like to bring that stuff back, obviously, but I think, maybe with the cultural issues and stuff, I think, jobs, wages, cost of living concerns, those are things the Democrats need to hit on and need to talk about more. Issues related to housing and whatnot. And I'm not saying other issues like trans rights and the climate and, immigration reform aren't important, but people really, maybe there's a different way we can approach talking about certain issues, but the forefront, maybe these guys have a point, maybe focusing more on like class issues instead of race issues or cultural issues, hey, maybe that's the way to go forward. But, I don't want to, those other issues are important. It's hard to, I'm trying not to offend anybody here. I'm probably failing, but a lot of this far left stuff, I think, Democrats are shifting rightward on this stuff. And I think, leftists, I know a lot of leftists aren't willing to compromise on it. Maybe a few are, but I think overall, I think a lot of people are going to have to, if the Democrats, basically they're just trying to they're trying to like out right wing the right wing, like make like a economic populist party, like a fiscally liberal but socially conservative party where it's like gay rights and LGBT stuff gets toned down, but we do bring about more, like maybe we bring back, are we going to bring back unions? That's one thing Reagan took away from us. If we're going to we're talking about social safety nets, social safety nets. But we're going to talk about that and like worker protections and whatnot and higher wages. Are we going to talk about that kind of stuff? Can that kind of party win? Do people feel betrayed by it? I don't know. Those are questions we have to ask.
So joining us now to dive deeper into how Democrats can improve their messaging and performance is Third Way Executive Vice President for Policy, Jim Kessler. Jim, welcome.
Good morning.
So let's dive straight into this, because those takeaways or those lessons from your event, they elicited some pushback, at least in some regards. One, which we didn't read there, was the idea of sort of getting away from small dollar donors' priorities because they were purportedly not in line with the general.
You kind of have to get away. Like that one line, I forgot who said it, but they were talking about like good billionaires versus, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Who was saying that shit? Good billionaires take money. Yeah, who said that? Okay, this is right here. Let's go back to that. Democratic Party's new elected chair, Ken Martin. There are a lot of good billionaires out there that have been with Democrats who share our values, and we'll take their money, but we're not taking money from those bad billionaires. It almost sounds, let me hear this guy.
Good billionaires out there that have been with Democrats who share our values, and we will take their money, but we're not taking money from those bad billionaires.
Okay, it's almost cartoonish. It's like, this is like a Tim Heidecker skit or something. This is like a sitcom sketch. This is like something you'd see on SNL or some shit. That's actually kind of funny. Are there good billionaires? A lot of the left doesn't think so, but let's move on to this. There's some controversy. Let's actually, let's not skip ahead. Let's watch a little bit of this, a little more of this.
Population. I think that gave some people the impression that what you were actually talking about was getting more in line with big dollar donors' priorities. Do you want to push back against that, or is that what you meant?
Sure, but before I push back against anything in particular, like let me just pull back a little bit on this. It was a gathering of about 75, 80 mainstream to centrist Democrats who really feel like the time for tinkering is over, and that, you know, we've become a party that has been, you know, by its performance has become sort of a coastal elite party where we're winning really only in places where the population is like heavily college educated with some other pockets in between, and we're not.
Yeah, that is a concern. You know, a lot of people see Democrats like the party of like the smug elites and whatnot, and like it feels like the average working class voter has kind of got the short end of the stick. That's definitely what some people say. It's not the case. A lot of like neoliberal people say that's not the case, and some left wingers say that's not the case. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people were disenfranchised, and they turned to Trump. And they felt the Democrats weren't listening to them. They felt, just things were fucked. And Biden, believe it or not, Biden was fucking sundowning up there. And that didn't exactly inspire confidence when Kamala said she changed nothing from his administration in her interviews. That buried her, man. People are just tired of this kind of shit. The economy only working for the rich. Democrats being the party of like elite college educated people. That's got to change in some way. You got to be the working class party again. And the Republicans, well, right now everything's kind of fucking up. As I was talking about in other videos, a lot of people do not like, Trump is messing with the economy. The tariffs are causing a lot of trouble. A lot of Trump's working class voters feel betrayed right now. It's a mess right now. And it's just like, why is it so hard to appeal to your blue collar, working class, natty light drinking slob? Why is Joe Sixpack always getting left out in the cold? And neither party seems to give a fuck about them. I don't know. It's just, look, I'm a beer swilling working class slob. I'm a blue collar doofus. I've been a blue collar doofus for 20 years. That's the way it is. And I've kind of gotten the short end of the stick, not to complain or anything like that. But, I know some people have it worse than me, but hey, man, for a while there, I was really struggling. I'm doing okay now, but, it's taken a lot of grief and a lot of bullshit to get to this point. And I'm still struggling in some ways, but, I just feel like, the Democrats represent me? I don't feel like that. I don't feel like anybody really represents me. That's the thing. I mean, could the Democrats? I don't know. How do they win me over? I don't know. But how do they win your average guy over? Like, would I vote for Democrats now? Probably not. And a lot of people feel the same way too. A lot of left wingers feel the same way too. But it's a real mess here. But let's get into this. I mentioned it briefly before. 10 Democrats joined with Republicans to censure Representative Al Green for Trump's speech protest. I saw Al Green trending on Twitter. I thought, is it the guy that sing Let's Stay Together? But nope, it's another guy. And this guy, are they going to play the video?
By its adoption of House Resolution 189, the House has resolved that Representative Al Green be censured, that Representative Al Green forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and that Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. The House had come to order. The House had come to order.
Well, that is a pretty dramatic development there, Wolf. Typically, we had expected that.
Jesus Christ. But let's get into this a little bit. 10 Democrats joined with House Republicans on Thursday to censure Representative Al Green for protest. During President Donald Trump's address to Congress this week, a formal condemnation of the Texas Democrats' action. The vote highlights divisions with the Democratic Party over how some members protested with the president's remarks. Locked out of power in Washington, Democrats are searching to find a compelling, unified message to counter Trump and a new administration, the struggle playing out not only on Capitol Hill, but across the country. The Virginia, Texas were on full display during the Tuesday night address, with some Democrats holding signs, walking out, or boycotting it altogether. Others took a more muted approach, following the guidance of the House Democrat leadership, who had urged members to not to mount high-profile protests and to show restraint during the address, cautioning the GOP could seize on such actions. When considered rare in the House chamber, censure has been used more frequently in recent years and amounts to a significant rebuke of a member of Congress, though it does not carry an explicit penalty beyond a public admonition of a lawmaker and is not as severe an expulsion. It remains to be seen whether Green faces further reprimand for his actions, as a group of conservative lawmakers plans to file a measure to strip the congressman of his committee assignments. The House Freedom Caucus, so they expect that to be brought to the floor next week. So they voted to censure Green. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Not good, but we also remember, this is from a while ago. This is from back in January. These 12 Democrats voted for the GOP immigration bill dubbed the Laken-Riley Act. If you're not familiar with the Laken-Riley Act, the act strips illegal migrants, or I don't know what the PC term is, forgive me, but people who come here illegally, it strips their, essentially, I think they're like, it strips their rights away, essentially. But, yeah, let's know, 22 rules murder last year while jogging the University of Georgia allowed for stricter punishments of undocumented immigrants who commit crimes in the United States. Measure goes to the House to approve the previous version of legislation earlier this month. 48 House Democrats joining Republicans to vote in favor of Senate Democrats. Overwhelming vote to begin debate on the bill January 9th and 10th. 9th, and 10 of them voted on Friday to advance the amended measure. So yeah, it basically strips rights away from migrants. It's a lot of really, it's bad stuff in that bill. It strips like legal rights away from them, and some people ask like, what rights should these people have in the first place? But a few people who voted: Ruben Gallego, John Fetterman, what a disappointment he's been for the left; Mark Kelly, John Ossoff, Gary Peters, Jackie Rosen, Elisa Slotkin. Oh, dun dun dun. Raphael Warnock. Among these are the 10 people. So we just talked about Elisa Slotkin, Gary Peters too. Oh baby, that's not good. But Democrats kind of breaking with the party, kind of cozying up to the right. That's really nothing new. Yeah, but that's a problem. Some people on the left, you're going to have to decide, is there something you're willing to compromise on? Do you think you can change the party at all? What kind of influence do you think you could have in the party? Talk about like grassroots organizing. What kind of candidates are there? Because a lot of these younger Democratic candidates and a lot of the newer Democrats, a lot of the senators, congressmen, stuff, and a lot of people coming up, they seem to be moving to the right on immigration, moving to the right on LGBT concerns, moving to the right on climate, a lot of other things. A lot of people seem to be walking in lockstep with the Republicans, kind of falling in line with the Trump agenda, and it's a problem. It's a problem. Why vote for the GOP 2.0 if that's just what the Democrat Party is going to be? But let me know your thoughts down below. Like and subscribe. Get me boosted in that algorithm, baby. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys for right now. Enjoy your weekend if I don't see you, and I will talk to you guys later.